Stop eating. She's not what you think. You are eating a snake. She is a snake. She's not what you think. You are eating a snake. She is a snake.
My people, listen well. This matter no be ordinary. Mama Opue, the snake woman of Amanato, part 5. Mama Opue sat in her room that night, her face hard like stone, her long natural hair loose behind her, and her black head tie on the bed beside her. She watched the small mirror in her hand as it slowly brightened. Ope's reflection appeared first, then the mother's face rose behind it like a shadow. Mama Opue whispered, "Everything is working. Chukwudi and the wife are already losing their peace." Mama Opue smiled slowly, a dangerous smile that showed confidence. "Good, but we are not stopping here. Their home must become empty. Their joy must break. This family must fall so they can never disturb us again." The wind outside blew hard as if agreeing. That same night, Chukwudi's wife woke up suddenly. Her heart was beating fast. She could swear she heard footsteps inside the house, soft movements like someone dragging clothes across the floor. She looked at her husband, fast asleep, breathing heavily. She tried to get up, but her body felt weak again. She managed to whisper a short prayer, and her window curtain moved by itself. She gasped, but forced her eyes shut to avoid fear. In the morning, Opue behaved like nothing was wrong. She opened the curtains early, swept the house, washed plates, and even made tea for Chukwudi before work. The man looked at her and smiled faintly. "You are really a blessing in this house." She bowed her head shyly, but her eyes were sharp. Chukwudi's wife watched her closely. Something didn't sit well in her spirit. The girl was too perfect, too sweet, too humble. And every night she insisted on prayer. But each time they prayed, she and her husband would fall asleep suddenly. Later that week, strange events increased. Clothes fell from hangers by themselves. Footsteps moved in the corridor around 2 a.m. The mirror in their bedroom sometimes turned cloudy, as if someone breathed on it from the inside. Chukwudi's wife became very troubled. One evening, she told her husband, "My spirit is not at rest. Something is wrong in this house." Chukwudi, who had slowly become cold, snapped at her. "Stop talking too much. Must everything be prayer? I'm tired." His voice shook the room. Opue, who was in the passage, heard it and smiled slightly. That night, at exactly 2 a.m., Opue rose from her bed again. Her eyes glowed strangely as she quietly opened her room door. Her shadow on the wall looked larger than her body. She moved barefoot like someone floating. When she reached the living room, the air suddenly became cold. A soft sound like a cat echoed. She turned into a black cat with bright, sharp eyes and walked silently towards Chukwudi and his wife's bedroom. She watched them sleep deeply, her tail moving slowly. Then she jumped on their table, looked into their mirror, and the mirror turned foggy again. Something old and powerful was moving around the house. The next morning, Chukwudi's wife found her Bible on the floor, even though she kept it under her pillow. She felt something was wrong, but she didn't know what. Later that evening, while Opue was washing clothes outside, a strange thing happened. An old woman passing by stopped suddenly, sniffed the air like she sensed something. She looked at Opue long and hard. "This girl, something is following you," the woman whispered. Opue froze. She stared at the old woman with fear and anger. "Mama, please, what did you say?" The woman was trembling. "There is a shadow around you, a strong one. You are not ordinary." Before Opue could respond, the woman hurried away. Opue ran inside quickly and picked a mirror, breathing fast. "Mama, someone noticed me today," she whispered. Mama Ope's face appeared inside the mirror, her expression dark. "You must be careful, no mistakes. This house must be destroyed fast. You must act before they discover who you are." That night, Opue prepared for something bigger. She stood in front of the mirror and a strange wind blew inside the room. Her eyes turned bright again. Tonight, her mother's voice echoed, "We take the next step." At exactly 2 a.m., the house got cold again. The lights flickered. Chukwudi's wife woke up shaking. She felt something moving behind the door. The handle turned slowly by itself. She grabbed her husband, but he didn't wake. She whispered a short prayer and the handle stopped moving. The room stayed silent, but she knew something was indeed living with them. Something that didn't come with them, and something that wasn't planning to leave. She held her pillow tight. For the first time, she said quietly, "God, show me what is wrong in this house." Her prayer opened a door she was not ready for, and the battle that was coming would shake the entire house of Chukwudi and even the powers behind Mama Ope's kingdom.
Stop eating. It's not food. You people are eating snake. God above.
Mama Opue, the snake woman of Amanato, part 6. That night carried a strange quietness in Chukwudi's house. The kind of quiet that did not feel peaceful, but felt as if the walls were listening. The breeze outside moved gently, brushing the windows as if warning someone to stay awake. Opue sat on her bed, cross-legged, her long natural hair falling around her shoulders. Her small mirror rested in her palm, glowing faintly. She whispered, "Mama, tonight feels heavy." Her mother's face slowly appeared, eyes sharp like someone watching from the dark. "Good, it means the next step is close. Do not relax. They must remain weak. Their spirit must stay confused." Opue nodded, but her breath shook a little. She could feel something growing around her, something stronger than before, pulling her deeper into her mother's assignment. Inside their own room, Chukwudi's wife could not sleep. She turned from side to side, pressing her pillow and whispering a short prayer. She felt watched. She felt followed. She felt like the house had changed. The curtains moved, even when the windows were locked. Her husband had grown short-tempered, and Opue had become too perfect to be trusted. That morning, as she prepared to clean the wardrobe, clothes that she folded the previous day had fallen to the floor by themselves. A cold air passed her legs, and she stepped back quickly, holding her chest. Something was inside this house, and she was getting closer to discovering it. Later that day, Opue walked past her with a tray of clothes. She smiled sweetly, but her eyes did not match the smile. Chukwudi's wife watched her quietly. When Opue left, she told her husband, "I don't understand that girl. Something is not right. I feel it." Chukwudi, already frustrated, raised his voice. "Stop this suspicion. She is helping this house. What exactly do you want?" Her wife's eyes filled with silent worry. She sat on the bed and pressed her forehead. I am not accusing her. I just feel something is wrong. I don't sleep well anymore. Every night something moves in this house. Chukwudi shook his head, grabbed his keys, and walked out, leaving her sitting alone, her heart unsettled. Meanwhile, Opue returned to her room quickly. She locked the door and held her mirror. "Mama, she is beginning to sense things," she whispered. Mama Opue's face appeared slowly, her voice low and firm. "Then you must move faster. Night is your strength. Use it. Confuse them. Break their unity. When the home is weak, everything else crumbles." Opue nodded, but her breath shook a little. That night, the house became cold again at exactly 2 a.m. Chukwudi's wife woke up sharply, her heartbeat racing. She heard footsteps in the passage, slow, dragging, soft like someone walking on bare feet. She shook her husband gently, but he didn't wake. The steps continued. She held her pillow and whispered, "God, please help me." She turned her eyes to the door. The shadow under the door moved. Something stood on the other side. The handle shook slightly. She gasped and covered herself with the blanket. The handle stopped, but the presence didn't leave. Outside the door, Opue stood still, her eyes glowing softly, her shadow long on the wall behind her. A strange wind blew around her, even though the windows were closed. Her face looked calm, but something old and powerful moved around her like a second skin. She turned slowly, a faint smile on her lips, and walked away silently. By morning, Opue acted normal again. She swept the compound, fetched water, washed plates, and even made breakfast. But Chukwudi's wife watched her every movement. She felt like the girl was everywhere at the same time. Later that afternoon, Chukwudi's wife went outside to hang clothes. An elderly man walking past looked toward the house and suddenly paused. He sniffed the air, then frowned deeply. "Something is not right around here," he muttered. She turned quickly. "Papa, what did you say?" The man looked at her carefully. "My daughter, be careful. Something strange is standing around your home." Before she could speak again, he hurried away. That evening, while Opue washed plates in the kitchen, she stopped suddenly. A cold wind touched her neck. She looked toward the window, and her mirror glowed faintly from inside her room, calling her. She wiped her fingers fast and ran quietly inside. When she picked the mirror, her mother's voice whispered sharply, "Something is coming. Someone is sensing us. You must be stronger. Prepare yourself tonight." Opue breathed deeply. "Mama, what should I do?" The mirror brightened. A strange force blew across the room. "Tonight you take a step they cannot forget. You must weaken the one who sees you clearly. Chukwudi's wife." Opue lowered her head slowly. A smile formed on her lips. "I am ready." But outside the room, unknown to her, Chukwudi's wife stood close to the door, holding her chest, her hand shaking. She had heard something, not everything, but enough to know something inside her home was not human.
You evil woman, stop feeding them. Evil woman, stop feeding people with snake. God will expose you. You evil woman, stop feeding them. You people should stop eating. You are not eating food, you are eating snake.
My people, listen well. This matter no be ordinary. The next day began quietly, but there was a heaviness in the air that nobody could explain. Amara moved around the house like someone carrying a secret fear. Every sound made her heart jump. She watched Opue closely, but the girl acted calm, gentle, almost too real to be real. Later that evening, Chukwudi returned from work and noticed the atmosphere in the house felt heavy. He asked Amara what was wrong, but she simply shook her head. She didn't want another argument and she didn't know how to explain what she had been feeling. At night, everyone went to bed early, but sleep refused to stay. The house became too quiet, as if something was listening to every breath. Amara opened her eyes slowly and looked around the dark room. Chukwudi was asleep beside her, breathing deeply. She tried to close her eyes again, but a soft sound came from the passage, like footsteps, slow and dragging. She froze, clutching the blanket. The footsteps stopped outside their door. Her heart beat loudly in her ears. She wanted to wake her husband, but fear held her still. The door handle shook softly, just once, and then silence. After a few minutes, she gathered courage and whispered a prayer. The sound faded away. But in the next room, Opue sat awake on her bed, her legs folded, the small mirror in her hand. A faint glow came from the mirror again, and her mother's face slowly appeared. This time the expression was not calm, it was sharp, urgent. "You are almost there," the mother's voice whispered. "The house is bending, the woman is weakening, but be careful, someone is watching you." Opue's face changed slightly. She turned her head slowly towards the window as if she sensed something outside. A cold breeze pushed the curtain even though the night was calm. She stood up from the bed, her shadow stretching strangely across the wall, though the light in the room was dim. Down the hallway, Amara finally fell asleep after struggling for hours. But her sleep didn't last. She began to dream, a dream too real, too close. She saw the house, but everything was dark. She saw a shadow moving through the hallway, too tall and too thin to be human. She tried to run, but her legs refused to move. The shadow turned and faced her. She woke up immediately, gasping for air. Sweat covered her forehead. She sat up quickly, pressing her hand on her chest. She felt something sitting in the room with them, something she couldn't see. The next morning, Amara woke before everyone. She stepped outside to get fresh air, hoping the sunlight would calm her. But as she swept the compound, she found strange footprints near the door. Small, thin footprints, like those of an animal. She bent down slowly, touched the ground, and her heart dropped. The night before, she had heard footsteps in the hallway, but these prints didn't look human. She stood up quickly, fear rising again. Just then, Opue walked out of the house, greeting her with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Amara pretended to smile back, but something inside her whispered that things were getting worse. Later that afternoon, Chukwudi and Opue were in the sitting room talking about house errands. Amara watched them from the kitchen door. She couldn't explain why, but she felt something invisible standing close to Opue, watching her. When Chukwudi left to buy something outside, the atmosphere changed instantly. Opue turned her head slowly and looked at Amara with a blank expression. Is anything wrong, auntie?" she asked softly. Amara opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Something in Opue's eyes made her cold. That night, exactly midnight, the house grew strangely warm, then suddenly cold. Amara sat up on the bed again. She couldn't ignore it anymore. She stood up quietly and opened the bedroom door. The passage was dark, too dark. As she took one slow step forward, she heard whispering, soft, distant, like two people talking inside a wind. She followed the sound until she reached Opue's door. The whispering stopped immediately. Amara held her breath. She leaned closer, and suddenly the mirror inside Opue's room flickered with a bright flash, the way lightning cuts through the sky. Amara jumped back and her heart racing.
Inside the room, Opue stood facing the mirror, her eyes glowing faintly again, her shadow longer than her. The voice from the mirror whispered, "It is time, soon." Amara ran back to her room silently, locked the door and sat on the floor shaking. She knew something terrible was unfolding and she was trapped inside it. The morning that followed brought no peace. The storm had only just begun.
You evil snake woman! Stop feeding people with snake! God, please expose this woman! You evil snake woman! Stop feeding people with snake!
Chukwudi, you must marry me.
You must marry me. You must make me your wife.
My people, this matter no be ordinary o. Mama Opue, the snake woman of Amanato, part 8. The next morning began with a strange quietness that wrapped itself around the compound. Even the birds sounded far away, like they were afraid to come too close. Amara moved through the house slowly, her mind battling the memory of her nightmare. She kept watching Opue, who acted calm as always, too calm for a girl her age. Her gentle smiles no longer comforted Amara. Instead, they made her chest tighten with questions she was too afraid to ask. Later that afternoon, Chukwudi's mother, Mama Nkechi, came to the house for a sudden visit. She didn't sit down immediately. Instead, she stood at the entrance, scanning Opue from head to toe. Amara noticed the way her mother-in-law's face changed. Confusion, then recognition, then fear. It was as if she was staring at someone she had seen before, long ago. When they finally sat, Mama Nkechi called Amara aside. Her voice dropped to a shaky whisper. "Amara, that girl, she looks like someone I knew from my village years back. That woman had a child who disappeared. People said strange things followed that child." Amara froze. "Mama, what are you saying?" Mama Nkechi swallowed. "I don't know yet, but something is not right." While they talked, Opue stood near the doorway, listening without blinking. Her face didn't change, but her eyes flickered just for a moment. That night, while the house slept, something began to move in Opue's room. The mirror on her table glowed faintly, the same glow Amara had seen before. Opue sat on her bed, holding the mirror close. Suddenly, a warm breeze filled the room, even though all windows were closed. The glow grew brighter until the mirror fogged over from inside. Slowly, a face appeared. Her mother, the same woman Amara had seen long ago in that brief, terrifying vision. The woman's voice was calm but carried a sharp warning. "My daughter, things are changing. You must finish what you came for. Make Chukwudi marry you. Do not let anyone stop you." Opue nodded gently, her expression unreadable. "Mama, I will do it." And Opue, the voice added, softer but darker, "The one who sees the truth. Amara, be careful of her. She is the only one who can break your paths." Opue's eyes glowed faintly again. "Then I will keep her close." Early the next morning, Mama Nkechi returned with a decision heavy in her heart. She told Amara quietly, "Tonight, I will speak with someone who knows about these things. We must understand what spirit or shadow is tied to that girl." Before Amara could respond, Opue stepped into the room, smiling. "Good morning, Mama. Good morning, Auntie." Her voice was sweet, but Mama Nkechi stepped back 1 inch. Just one, but it was enough. Opue saw it.
and she smiled even wider. Later that evening, Chukwudi arrived home, unaware of the storm waiting to break. Opue met him at the door, offering him water, helping him remove his shoes, speaking softly to him like a wife already in her house. When Amara saw this, something in her heart trembled. Mama Nkechi watched from the corridor, frowning deeply. Then, while everyone settled inside, something happened that no one expected. The light in the living room flickered twice. The air shifted. A sudden coldness swept through the house. Everyone turned at the same moment, their eyes landing on the hallway leading to Opue's room. Opue stood there, not moving, her shadow stretching across the floor in a way that didn't match her body. Chukwudi blinked. Opue, why are you standing there in the dark? Opue smiled slowly. I was waiting for you. She stepped forward, but the shadow stayed behind for one breath before following. Amara's heart skipped. Mama Nkechi clutched her wrapper. Chukwudi frowned. Opue came close to him and spoke softly. You promised to take care of me, remember? You will marry me. Chukwudi. The room fell into complete silence. Chukwudi stared at her confused. I never said that. You did. Her voice did not shake. Mama said you are mine. When she said mama, the air around her shifted again. Just slightly, but enough for Amara to feel a wave of cold on her skin. Then, before anyone could react, a sudden knock echoed on the front door. One heavy knock, like someone striking wood with a stone. Everyone jumped. Opue turned sharply towards the door, her eyes narrowing. She has come. Who? Amara whispered. Opue turned slowly, smiling. The person who wants to stop me. Mama Nkechi felt her knees weaken. Amara felt the room spin. Chukwudi stepped back as Opue walked towards the door with slow, fearless steps. She reached the door, placed her hand on it, and the knocking stopped immediately. Silence swallowed the whole house. She whispered through the wood, I am not afraid of you. No one else heard a reply, but Opue did. Her eyes widened, and for the first time, fear appeared on her face. She didn't open the door. She turned back to the family slowly, shakily. Something outside has spoken to her. And whatever it was, it frightened even her. That moment changed everything. Amara felt it. Mama Nkechi felt it. Even Chukwudi felt it. Whatever Opue was, whatever her mother wanted, something stronger had arrived, and the real battle had just begun.